Hey YouTube, MJB here. News about traces of a rainforest found near Antarctica were released today. In seabeds near Antarctica, remains of pollen and trees have been found, indicating that the icy plains were once a rainforest. The remains date back to 145 to 166 million years ago, so quite a long time. This changes the entire perspective of the continent and makes me even more curious about what mysteries can be found under the ice. Speaking about the mysteries under the ice, today I want to go over two mysterious objects or features found in Antarctica. One is a strange elongated thing or object that seems to have crashed into a mountain and slid across the icy landscape. The other one is a strange circular feature. Both are not new, but there hasn't been any update on either of those features for years, so I wanted to bring them back to the attention. We're starting off our investigation about 1 kilometer or 0.6 miles from a mountain cliff on an Antarctican island. This island chain is called South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. It can be found close to Brazil and Chile. Here we find a strange object in the snow, with a path from where the object moved over the icy surface. The photos you're seeing were supposedly taken back in 2011. However, I could not really confirm that, so take it with a grain of salt. If we quickly go back to the mountain, we see some strange damage. The mountain seems to have partly collapsed or maybe even collided with something. The debris seems to have ejected outwards, scattering pieces of the mountain all across the landscape. The scattered debris can clearly be seen, but nothing stretches remotely as far as the object that we're looking at. The angle is also very interesting, as it is very sharp and doesn't look like a random piece of debris randomly rolling over the landscape. So it looks like this must have happened with quite a lot of force. Now, since this is a snapshot, we don't actually know if the object stopped moving, yes or no. It's just a photo, right? But looking at the snow and ice covering the object and the trail, I assume it did stop moving. The tracks are pretty visible, which is pretty interesting, so either this happened shortly after the image was taken or the grooves left are actually quite deep. The object itself is pretty massive. It's about 63 meters in length and 9 meters across. We can't really measure the height of the object, but the shadow does suggest it's at least 6 meters high. I looked into possible natural causes and noticed that there are a couple of volcanoes on the South Sandwich Islands. There are 2 volcanoes which erupted in the recent past, which is in 2005 and 2006. But they haven't been active anymore since. And all the other volcanoes haven't been active since like 50 years or so. Also, both volcanoes called Mount Belinda and Mount Michael are not even close to the mountain where the object is found. Actually, none of the volcanoes that are on these islands is remotely close to this particular mountain. I do like to mention one interesting geological phenomena. On Mount Michael there is a persistent lava lake, from which there are only 8 known in the entire world. But I digress. So we have a very strange object here that moved across the landscape, seems to have either collided or came off a mountain, moved way further than all the other debris, and we don't really have a possible cause for it. The other object I wanted to show you is on the other side of the Antarctic mainland. Here we find another peculiar structure. This strange circular feature or structure has 10 smaller squarish areas around a circular center. It almost looks too perfect and actually reminds me a bit of those ruins of ancient settlements that can be found in Africa. The image that you're seeing and we're comparing it to now is from South Africa, Mozambique. Notice the similarities? This area is quite rocky, but there could be a possible natural explanation as well. As ice melts, lakes can form. The top of these lakes can freeze again, but if the water below it somehow finds a way to escape, it will leave a hollow space behind. If the ice above collapses, it looks a little bit like this. However, for it to collapse in such a shape is pretty random, to be honest. But then again, nature does make perfect square cubes as well, so anything could happen really. But what do you think this could be? Ancient settlement, or maybe just a natural formation? Like I said at the start of this video, both objects are nothing new, but I couldn't really find any reports about these objects being investigated or any updates whatsoever. So I figured the more people know about them, the better. The coordinates for both of these objects or features are in the video description. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye bye.